there in California, apparently. You know, I mean, the Secret Service is going to get mugged. I mean, who is safe? You know, the Secret Service,
Yeah.
is a victim of that type of crime. Jeez Louise, man.
Well, and I also think that like this is something that like people complain about often, but there is like a increasing amount of like incompetence, right? Like there's just so much incompetence in all of the government now. And so like,
Hmm.
but even if this like Trump thing today was just incompetence, just a bunch of people like doing their jobs poorly, like look at the fucking consequence. Like the fucking country is a tinderbox, right? Like this is going to kick off something really bad, I think. Even the Republicans are already saying that this is just like January 6th, where Joe Biden's, hot rhetoric is incited this. And so it's just, I don't know, man. It's like whether it was something more nefarious or just incompetence or what, it seems like I don't know that we've got much good shit going for us right
No,
now.
um, I I think that the quicker we can move on from these two candidates is the better, because it just gets worse and worse. It gets crazier and crazier. Biden doesn't know what town he's in. He can't finish the sentence. Donald Trump is now getting shot at. He's a felon. You know what I mean? And not to mention their age and their performance. Forget about the age thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them will ever qualify to be president. Forget about the age thing, and it's separating the country more. You know what I mean? And the only like bipartisan thing they can come up with is banning TikTok. So I think they're tearing the country apart. And I don't want to talk like civil war or anything like that, but there's gonna like I've heard the culture war thing thrown around, and now you're seeing this Project 2025 thing. You're seeing assassination attempts. I mean, we are regressing as a society, like rampantly. And I don't know if these guys, we're gonna go line in the Project 2525 thing, but all the stuff they want to do away with. They wanted to get rid of the Department of Education. Obviously the climate change thing. Us, screw that. Let's just destroy the planet as quick as we can. That and all this other stuff, the abortion thing. So, man, I'm telling you, if Trump like survives this thing and becomes president, it's gonna be heavy, man. And I tell you what, political talk radio, it might get a lot more popular. With all this crazy stuff
Yeah.
happening, so it might be good for all of us in a sick way.
I
Well,
mean,
I
I
just
just piped in halfway through and it sounded like the Democratic Party's platform.
yeah. Yeah.
Because when the fuck has the DNC given a shit about women's bodies or about the environment?
Yeah.
Joe Biden has
Yeah.
actually made the environmental regulations worse. And
Yeah.
under his reign, not only did the Supreme Court take away Roe v. Wade, right? But you could say, hey, that's not really him. That's the judiciary, right? The Democrats have had supreme control over all three branches of government 3 fucking times since then.
Yeah.
They could have codified Roe v. Wade anytime they wanted to, and they didn't. They kept it as a carrot. So both
Yeah.
parties have the exact same agenda. Project 2025 is just another carrot. It's a fucking scare tactic.
Did you guys see that tweet that or he said Joe Biden said it at like a rally, and then they tweeted it about all the things he'll do if he's reelected. And it was like, bro, you said you were going to do that shit this time. It was like raise the minimum wage, restore Roe versus Wade, and it was like, what the fuck? You were supposed to do
Yeah.
that this time. You
Yeah, he's
literally
like,
had the whole ass
I know.
Congress.
When he was
This
like
time,
in
no malarkey.
Right.
in the debate and he said, if I'm president, I will restore Roe v. Wade. Motherfucker, you're already president.
Good one,
But
Jordan.
this time for real, Charlie Brown.
Did Chris want to introduce himself?
Yeah, please introduce yourself, Chris.
Sorry I'm late, by the way. My name's Chris. I'm Jordan's favorite tanky friend, and I'm the host of the Alt Left podcast.
By the way, your voice sounds deep as fuck. I don't know if it's your mic settings or if
There's
you're
that.
coming down with a cold or.
There we go. How's that? I had to change my mic. I was on a different mic.
Yeah, you sound better.
There we go. All right, fair enough. But anyway, yeah, my name's Chris. Good to be here.
Nice. Yeah. So what are you making of the most recent news? We were
What do you
planning
mean?
on.
You mean someone the worst fucking shot in history, or Project 2025?
Right? He had one shot.
I mean, he's got blood
Yeah.
all over his face. It almost looked like they hit his ear. Like, I think the dude came close. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to assassinate the president, which to the FBI listening, I would never condone.
Yeah.
I have nothing but the utmost respect for the law. But I mean, you got to be pretty far away. Like, it's not like you can just walk up with a fucking 30-06 from 10 yards out, right? Like, this guy had to have been a mile away. So the fact that he got that shot even close is actually pretty fucking impressive.
Chris,
say
it was
so.
on a rooftop. It was on
Yeah.
a rooftop, like across from the venue.
Yeah, like it's not going to be in the crowd. It's going to have to be off site. But the thing is, like, I don't know, like, I guess, like, cool, don't get me wrong. I would love it if Donald Trump was taken off the mortal coil, but I'd also love if fucking Biden was taken out too. Like, I'm just tired of rooting for which evil dinosaur is going to fucking run the country. Like, we keep, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know about you guys. I talk to a lot of liberals throughout my day. And it's just fucking exhausting. Like, I remember I literally had this talk with a coworker, and he was, we were talking about it, and he's like, I can't believe you're not going to vote for Biden. And I said, give me a reason to vote for Biden without saying the word Donald Trump. And he's like,
No
oh,
reason.
that's stupid. That's a stupid fucking argument because, that's like saying, how can you stay to the earth without gravity? I'm like, so you do admit that the Democrats' entire policies revolved around Donald Trump and they bring nothing else to the table except the fear of him. Like, you're fucking admitting that right now. And he just couldn't hang with it. And that's how it is. It's both parties demonizing the other. That's how the game is. And that's actually where the Republicans fucked up. You see, the whole Roe v. Wade thing isn't just the Democrats' fault, right? Both sides stood to gain from this being an eternal struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Democrats need Roe v. Wade to always be in danger because then it's, you gotta vote for us, or the Republicans are gonna fucking take it away. And the Republicans need abortion to be legal so that they can say, look at these godless Democrats and socialists and anarchists and witch doctors trying to kill babies. You've got to give us more money to stop it. Like, the fear of the other has to exist for this bullshit two-party system to exist. It has to be that way. And if it's not, it falls apart. And that's where the Republicans fucked up, as they lost it. And so, yeah, Joe Biden's going to now come back and try to say, like, oh, yeah, vote for me and I'll do all these things. Like, and to bring it full circle back to the topic at hand, Project 2025. The Democratic Party could do anything they wanted to do to stop it. Joe Biden could go after the Heritage Foundation right now, label them a fucking hate group, have the fucking feds seize their fucking assets, completely bankrupt them, throw the leaders in fucking jail. Hell, fucking Supreme Court just made him king. Shoot him. Like, do whatever. If I was fucking president right now, I would round up all these fascists, execute them, kill half the Supreme Court, and then tell the other half, cool, now change the laws and put me in prison. That's what someone of conscience would fucking do. But he's not. He doesn't actually fucking care.
Well, speaking of the feds, I actually have an interesting TikTok that I want to play that I just sent to Heather because the FBI is currently investigating Project 2025 and supposedly raiding the Heritage Foundation because of it. And they've tracked a number of IP addresses that are tracked back to China and Vietnam. So listen to this.
Project 2025 is over and the FBI is about to get involved, and this has nothing to do with them falsely filing as a 501c3 organization. Though they did falsely file as a 501c3 organization, and multiple people are reporting them on the IRS website using Form 13909. But that's not what this one's about. Project 2025 is run by the Heritage Foundation, and the Heritage Foundation was hacked. Within the data packet, there is a lot of very interesting stuff that the FBI is going to want to investigate hasta pronto. What you're looking at the bottom of the screen is a bunch of different IP addresses for people involved within the think tank. You can see the locations of those IP addresses. That's China. Now, given the fact that the Heritage Foundation falsely filed as a 501c3 organization, I highly doubt that they filed any of the forms to let people know that they were lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. But they appear to be lobbying on behalf of a foreign government, and considering how much they've been ranting and raving about China getting involved in our politics, this one's pretty funny. Now, as this is all public information now, I want to be very clear that these are things that you can easily find and verify yourself. And I encourage you to look further into this because this is one hell of a story. Oh, and the hacker group released a hack every day for 7 days. And you might want to look at some of those too. Apparently, they hacked one of our favorite countries. So, in case you needed some good news, Project 2025 is over in the FBI.
Yeah, so what do you make of that?
Like the China angle. So what this lady was saying that what they're working in on behalf of the Chinese government? Is that what this is that what they were telling us? This lady. Is that what the woman was saying, that the Heritage Foundation is somehow connected to the Chinese government?
That's what I'm hearing, yeah.
I mean, maybe it's
And
no
what?
it's
Go ahead.
foreign money in foreign governments.
Yeah, it's people that hacked it, to be fair.
Oh, okay, okay.
But still, it's really funny.
Yeah.
China.
I was also just thinking about the fact that all this Trump stuff is happening a week after that fucking guy from the Heritage Foundation, and I have the quote right here where he said, "We are in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be."
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, I think it's interesting because like all these Republicans are like pearl clutching right now on Twitter and saying it's the rhetoric of, the left and the liberals and the Biden administration and all that shit. But then also you have these people from the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation group literally saying that we're in the middle of the second American Revolution. I mean, hello.
It's fear mongering. I mean, I guess, right?
I mean, let's look at it historically. The American Revolution actually never ended. Or not revolution, the Civil War. The Civil War never fucking ended. It never did. We had an armistice. Other countries, South Africa ending apartheid, had truth and reconciliation, right? Like a lot of nations, the Germans had the Nuremberg trial. Like when things go real bad, you have to have a coming together. You have to have an airing of the dirty laundry, right? The people who are the worst have to go to fucking jail or get shot. Like you have to put all the documents out there. You have to say who was right, who was wrong, and you have to kind of move on as a society. That's how that's supposed to work. But we didn't fucking do that. The war ended. We occupied the South for a few years. Lincoln got shot. We went, okay, don't do it again. Here's all your money and senators back. And just immediately re-empowered the worst people. And everyone who had been allowed into government, all of a sudden you had black people in the South running for office and succeeding at office. Suddenly they're out. Now they're being lynched again. Now they're being hung. Now police officers are taking over polling places on behalf of the South. And then Jim Crow ensued. The private prison industry now happens. Like we never ended. It never went away. It didn't. We had a pause. And the reason we're at where we're at is because the Civil War is still going on. It's just no longer guns and muskets. It's now ideological, but it will happen again.
Wow. Well, I agree with you, Chris, to an extent about, obviously when Reconstruction, a lot of that was like worst post-Civil War. And in a lot of ways, like your segregation, in a lot of ways was, I mean, I can never say worse than slavery, but you had segregation and, some of the things you mentioned. It's to me though these days it's more of like a class thing than so much about race. I mean, obviously the minorities still have it rough, with the obviously with the justice system and the police and everything. But I think it's become more of a class thing. Because me, I mean, I grew up lower middle class, and if I had to, go to court or my education, stuck. So like it to me like I'm very cognizant of the class thing because I got treated like shit by the cops. I've got treated I mean honestly by the court system. So, but I do agree that like in a sense the Civil War is still going on. There may be different parameters. Obviously slavery no longer exists, but
Slavery no longer exists on plantations. It sure as fuck exists in prison, which is
well,
where
yeah, and also
black
like
people are disproportionately locked up. There's I agree with you. Class
prison
issue,
industrial complex. Yeah.
yeah, which is incredibly racist. I mean, you have black people making up, what, 16, 17% of the population, but over 60% of the prisoners?
I think 1 in every 3 black males will spend some time in jail in their whole
So you can't
life.
say race is not the leading component. Like, I would agree with you, class is too, don't get me wrong. Also, as a poor white man, I've spent a lot of time on the wrong side of criminal court. And I've also been mistreated by cops and judges and all that, 100%.
Sure.
But we also exist on a mountain of privilege of not being people of color, which is even worse. Like,
Sure.
I think it's a combination. I think that the Venn diagram of lower class versus unpopular race is closer to a circle than we like to talk about, but it is. But we have to admit that with redlining, with private prisons, lend-lease programs, all that the more melanin you got, the worse it's always been and still is.
Yeah. So the worst thing basically you can be is a poor African American male.
Pretty much. I mean, and again, our prison system. If you get a piece of clothing or anything that says "Made in the USA," it was made with slave prison labor. We don't manufacture textiles in this country. The only textiles that are manufactured here is prison labor and Chinese shadow factories, and that is it.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, there is no factory of fucking single moms just hanging out making shit. Like, no, that doesn't happen. that left in the 20s.
You're absolutely.
It's all slave work, all of it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Actually, real quick, I don't want to be self-serving, but I actually wrote a piece a while back about the American prison industrial complex, and you just mentioned, the cheap labor. I mean, the outrageously cheap labor that they get from the prisoners, and all the money they save on the food and everything. So I wrote a whole piece about that. So I'm well aware, and the percentages of African Americans, it's overwhelming, and sadly, I don't think it's ever going to change. It's never going to change. Bail reform, is good in some ways, but it's maybe I don't want to get off topic or anything, but I just think I agree with basically everything you said, and yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think it ever will change. I think that it's hard baked into this culture. It's a nation built on slavery and genocide and stolen land, and that's not going to change because we vote blue.
Yeah, I mean, you saw. I don't know if you guys saw what I posted on Instagram today, but California, this is like textbook neoliberalism. They pass heat protections for workers, but guess who's exempt? Prisoners.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
People incarcerated are not subjected at all to heat protections, air conditioning, and everything that falls under that. Because
No,
of course,
they're fucking cattle as far as the capitalists are concerned.
Yeah.
Izzy, what do you think of all this today?
Let's hear from Izzy.
Hi. I'm not really like surprised that it happened. I'm just like, because I have been, I did a lot of journalism work doing like Trump rallies and stuff. I've been to them, and I know that there is very tight security there. Like, there was a fucking what's it called, like a SWAT team there, and they were just there to hang out. Like, I found a photo later, they were just taking selfies of Trump, like just smiling and everything. And it's like these off-duty SWAT members with fucking rifles show up, and then like they literally had everyone on the corners of the buildings. So like it was very tight, but just anyone can come in. Like, they don't really like check the crowd. I don't think they were ever like intimidated or like thought like, oh, it's like Trump supporters, like they're already like insane. Like, we don't have to like check, you know what I mean? And then they like they kind of checked themselves out, kind of, because like right when I showed up, they're like, "Are you on our side? Or are you against us?" And I'm like, "What is this?"
Wow.
And I was like, "I'm just a
Wow.
girl."
I'm just a girl.
So they're
yeah,
very,
exactly.
I'm just a girl, but like they weren't intimidated by me because I was a woman, but like, yeah, I think like the most we can do in this moment is to build our own communities, and like if he is elected, like we're all we have, and we have to start rallying together, learning to organize and work together. So like this is it. Like, are you guys ready?
No matter who gets elected, really.
So what does everybody think is the chance? Because I saw, well, I'll preface that by saying, there's like all the online betting and shit about the race now. And after this incident, First of all, there are like all these viral photos like of him laying down with the blood and he's like praying on the fucking ground. And then there's the one where he's got like the
Oh
fucking
my
fist up.
God.
And immediately after that, the betting, the prospects said that now his chances of winning are 70%.
Oh, the sympathy card's working.
You know, if
I kind of also I have like 20% chance it was all staged. Like like 20%.
Yeah.
not only is there a chance it was staged, but for two things. I mean, first of all, if the DNC had any balls, they post a picture of like Trump or holding or fucking Biden holding a sniper rifle and say something like, "Who's sleepy now, bitch?"
Who's
so
sleeping
good.
now, bitch?
But they
I
wouldn't.
like that.
But
That's
like
funny.
the rally around the leader thing always happens, though. Like he's gonna get support right now. That's not gonna hold. Now, I'm not saying Trump's not gonna win. He
Yeah.
probably is.
It's early.
I'm just saying that whole 70% thing,
Yeah.
right after 9/11, George Bush had like a fucking 99% approval rating.
Yeah.
They didn't fucking
Right.
help him 2 years later. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't, fucking November's a long way away. But
Well, and
Joe Biden is probably going to lose this election. This has been his to lose. Like, and the thing is, like, that if there's anything we can learn about the Democratic Party, it's that no one will fuck up hitting a fucking T-ball like the Democrats will.
Yeah.
Like anything can be laid up for them perfectly and they will fuck it up. Like no one gained, like Trump didn't gain any supporters, right? Like nobody who thought Trump was a bad idea fucking 3.5 years ago is like, nah, I changed my mind. Trump's awesome. No, that didn't happen. Anybody who thought Trump sucked still thinks Trump sucks. He didn't gain anyone. But the problem is now Biden has lost everyone. He's lost all the moderates who were going to prop him up because now he's 1,000 years old and he's having fucking brain seizures while he's speaking. This guy's unfit for office. Everyone fucking knows it. And the Democrats, what could they do? Well, they could fucking Gavin Newsom up there. They could run Kamala. They have a whole host of Democrats who are under 900 years old who could do it, but they only want to put up a fucking super, like only the worst evil capitalist can run. That's why they are only propping up people like Biden and Hillary, because they're the old banking guard. That's who the funders of the DNC want. These guys will destroy the environment. They will supply they'll take billions of dollars and hand it to Ukraine and Israel and then look you straight in the eye and be like, oh, there's no money for kids with healthcare. Sorry. Like they'll do that shit every fucking time and keep a straight face doing it. And the problem is a lot of younger people have an issue with keeping a straight face and doing that and not throwing up in their mouths. But Biden and fucking Kamala, who, I mean, remember, everyone, Kamala's more right than Biden is. She killed trans people for fun. She literally did that as DA. So, like, she's fucking evil. And they all are. Everyone at the top is. And they're so inept. And they lose the left on being evil. And they lose the moderate on being incompetent. And that is the only reason Trump's going to win.
go ahead.
Well, he said before about his percentage going up 70%. His percentage went up, I believe, after he got convicted of a felony. You can't, he's like the Teflon Don when it comes to like approval numbers. It's amazing. Real quick, guys. I did a show recently, and I said Donald Trump could steal funds from the St. Jude Children's Foundation, run a dogfighting ring, and his main supporters would still vote for him and still send the money. There's nothing this guy can do that will like chase his supporters away.
His family's not allowed to run a charity anymore because his son literally took all the money out of a children's charity fund.
Oh shit! So that really happened.
Yes, Donald Trump literally stole the money from a children's cancer charity, and they're forbidden by federal law to run a charity anymore.
I was just saying that as like a dark joke. I can't fucking believe it's real.
Yeah, anything past 2016 is real, man. Like, anything's fucking possible in this dark timeline. But like, think about it. But like, you nailed it on the head, right? There's nothing he could do. He said that in his first run. Where he's like, I could just fucking shoot a bitch in the middle of Central Park, and my supporters would still suck my dick. And he's right. They fucking will. Because if you're going to support Trump and think he's a good idea, you're pretty fucking divorced from reality, right? Like, family, honestly, just put yourself in the mindset where you're going to check that box and be like, this guy's going to make shit better. This guy's a fucking genius. How fucked up is your sense of reality for that to be an actual tangible thought in your mind? So yeah,
Right.
and that's the problem is the Democrats are still playing by the old rules. They're like, oh, he didn't kiss
Yeah.
enough babies. Now they're gonna hate him. Oh, he got convicted. They put his fucking mugshot on a T-shirt and sold it. Like, it's a whole new fucking game, dude. And the DNC doesn't get it, and no one gets it. That there is nothing you can do. Old world. The only thing that you could do to fuck Trump up is if you found out he was Jewish or found out he was gay. That would fuck up. A picture of Trump in fucking pantyhose would destroy his career, but that would be it. Because that's the only thing that could possibly hurt him is showing he has any ties that aren't to the white Christo-fascist cis world.
Well said, Chris. Well said.
Well,
So
I was
really,
I
go
was
ahead,
just,
Jim.
I was just gonna point out the flat out anomaly of Biden winning in 2020. Like literally everything had to line up perfectly for him. We had a fucking once in a century pandemic. We had an extreme economic fallout from that. Like any run of the mill Democrat would have beaten Trump.
Well, but that exactly, and that's where the DNC's evil is different, right? Trump is like an evil space. Trump is fucking Darth Vader, where he's just like, "Yup, I kick puppies. Come on, let's do it." Like he's out there, and the DNC is the quiet, subtle evil. Like again, it blows people's minds when I have debates. Like you realize the Republican primary is far more democratic than the Democratic one is. The Republican primary is majority vote. They take a fucking vote, and whoever wins becomes the candidate. The Democratic Party doesn't do that. Nah, they need super delegates and they need multiple staged primaries and they need all these things to make sure that it'll always be a capitalist and to make sure that leftists don't get anything in that party. It has to be that way. And coincidentally, isn't it amazing? Once Bernie won a fucking primary, all of a sudden every single Democrat dropped out and supported Biden on the same day. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. And look at what they're doing now. Like all this like bullshit and speculation about like how would we select a new candidate? Should we install? Should this, that? There are fucking rules. There are fucking rules for how it goes. Like an open convention or a contested convention is like it's in the fucking rule book. And then I just read that the DNC now is talking about having like a secret vote or an early vote. Did you guys see that on July 22nd? Their rules committee is meeting in advance of the convention. And so what they're talking about doing is going ahead and advancing the nomination during that Zoom meeting to try to just basically seal the nomination.
Just lock this bitch in.
So they can't like, actually have a contested convention because there are fucking rules for that. Like a delegate can come and contest the convention. Like it's a thing. It's always been a thing. And they're trying to cheat that shit. So to your point, Chris, the fucking DNC is like, they're constantly, democracy this, saving democracy that. They're fucking hypocrites.
Oh yeah, they don't give a fuck about democracy.
No, not at all.
They're both corporate banking parties, and like the second we remember that, like when you have a two-party system, this is how it'll always be. This isn't even like an American thing. There's a reason why Europe has parliamentary government. You have to have coalition governments. If you don't have coalition governments, there is no compromise. You simply have a two-party system, and it's hard to pay off six parties. It's fucking easy to bribe two. You just got to write two checks.
Yeah.
You write two checks to each one, and no matter who wins, you win, and you're good, right? So we have the Republicans and the Democrats both being sponsored by the exact same people, and anybody who disagrees, I will challenge one question. Trump, was he bad? Yup. Trump's terrible. Trump's a fascist. Fuck that guy. Sure. Name me one thing that Trump did that was bad that Biden fixed.
Let me think. Let's see. He let's see. Quick thinking here, guys.
Well, you
Did he
see
give
what
out the
happened was
COVID relief?
No, he cut the COVID relief. Trump gave us COVID relief. He took away COVID relief.
Well, see what happened
No, I
was
mean like the stimulant.
No, he cut the stimulant.
The sun got in my eyes, and then what were we talking about?
Like, but that's it. He
Yeah,
cut
I have a little
companies. He
humor.
brought back evictions. He took away fucking employment moratoriums. Like Trump did 10,000 terrible things and like 4 good ones, and even those are the ones that Joe Biden took down. Joe Biden campaigned on the promise that when the COVID vaccine came out, since it was taxpayer funded and we owned it, he would release it to the world so that other countries could make their own, and then he didn't because Pfizer threatened to sue him. Like everything Trump could have possibly done. I mean, Trump had the best zinger ever in the first election when Biden was like kids in cages, and Trump was like, "Who built the cages?" It was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. It was Obama and Biden, wasn't it?"
Yeah, I was a singer.
Guess what? Those numbers have gone up under Biden. More deportations. We have more violence. We have more kids being separated. We've had children being killed in the detention centers. By the way, under Biden, we've had women being forcibly sterilized because they came from Guatemala and El Salvador in these
Hell yeah!
camps.
Wow.
That happened under Biden. Now we're funding a genocide
Yeah,
in
the
Gaza.
forced hysterectomies, right?
Yep. And so it's one of those things where it's like, like Izzy talks like a very good point. Like, what do we do in terms of like mutual aid and shit if Trump gets in? And the thing is, and I know this is an unpopular opinion. This is what gets me uninvited to dinner with people. But Trump winning is actually good for the left because that's the only time.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's the only time liberals give a shit.
The only time they do anything.
When Trump was in office, all of a sudden people were making mutual aid centers with each other. People were marching in the fucking street. People gave a shit. People were actually willing to fight cops.
Yeah.
That happened when Trump was in office. And then as soon as Biden won, all the fucking white women went home and had brunch again.
Yeah.
I've always said this real quick about Trump is that he was a much worse businessman than politician, in my opinion. I mean, I think he sucked a lot worse as a businessman than a politician. I mean, I think Biden's a lot worse of a politician than Trump is. Trump, his character, it's his character that bothers me most. His personality, the way he talks about and treats women.
It's not his policies? I mean, I guess they're the same.
His policies. Look, everybody's policies are off base, in my opinion. As long as I've been following this shit, there's not one president or major politician that I could say, "Wow, man, they're really on board with what I with my feelings." Hell no, you know what I mean? Of course, his policies, but they're all pro-Zionists.
Sure.
They're all anti-migration, apparently.
But why does the personality matter?
And by the way, personality, Biden's a racist with credible rape allegations. Let's just not forget that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Biden's a good man either.
But no, Trump sucks. Like, again, he's an asshole. Like, I can't even imagine Joe Biden. I'm willing to bet can find a way to be pleasant at dinner for an hour, and Trump would just wipe his dick on the plate after 30 seconds. Like, you're right. Trump is worse. Like, in terms of he's a bigger asshole. Like, and I think that's actually the big thing of why Dems hate him so much is he's a prick on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but me being from the New York area, I'm heavily biased when it comes to Trump because I mean, look at it this way. Like, what was his percentage of the votes he got in New York, his home state? I mean, it had to be like in the low 30s, right? So that's how the people where he's from, that's how the people feel about him. So I think that would give you a pretty good parameter of barometer of what type of person we're talking about here. Like the place he's from, everybody can't fucking stand him. It's not just because everybody's Democrats. It's because he was a douchebag as a landlord. His father was a douchebag as a landlord, and that's why the New Yorkers hate him so much. And I think that's an example of why people just can't stand him. And
right,
noticed,
and also just all
the
the way that he's stiffed the contractors there. Like he's just
flat
out fucking refused to pay people.
Yeah.
Well, and even in spite of all of that, even in spite of all of that, just this week, because of like Biden staying in the race and all the bullshit with the Democrats and the fucking genocide in Gaza, because of that, now all these congressmen and senators in New York are saying that New York is now becoming a swing state. and like
I
down
heard about
ballot
that.
races are going to go to Republicans because of what the Democrats, even with Trump at the top of the ticket, and Trump being disliked for all these other reasons, like you were saying, landlord shit, stiffing contractors, all that shit. Even with all of that, the Democrats have managed to still get people back onto that side.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, you're absolutely right.
the fuck? How can you be so bad at doing the thing you're supposed to be good at? Like, why would you go into politics if you are this bad at it? I
Because
think about that with the government too, all the time.
it's what we've talked about for years, Heather. They don't care about winning.
Yeah.
They don't care about winning.
I mean, they don't care much about policy either, apparently.
I think a lot of them don't even know about policy. Like a lot of people that are in the government now, they only know politics. Something people always argue with me about is the difference between politics and policy. Like when, like policy is what the government does. Politics is getting into the government, right? And there's so many people now who they only know politics. They don't know anything about how to actually do what they're supposed to do once they get there.
Right.
And I think that that's a big problem.
I think like at the media, it's the media has become such like a prevalent, like the machine in the media. Like, so I think a lot of them are just like media experts, and that's like social media, and I think that they're not really, like you said, with policy. Like, I think they're basically brain dead when it comes to like policy making. It's all about like like almost like propaganda experts, or like advertising people, like just get the person, elected, talk enough shit about the person you're running against, let's get elected, and then we'll just like figure it out as we go. That's what
IDF spokesperson says.
So do you guys believe, I know that Gentle Rambler said he had to go in a few minutes, and I just want to know, do you guys believe that Trump he said that he doesn't have anything to do about Project 2025? Do you believe that?
Yes.
Oh yes, when has that guy ever lied?
Yeah, like why would he know? Like I don't think he even read it. It's bad news, folks.
The thing is, I actually don't believe that, not because I think Trump is some amazing accomplished liar, just because the Heritage Foundation has been his bread and butter. Like, the thing is, this guy's been taking marching orders for them for the last fucking 8 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I
absolutely think he's well aware, because how could he not? Like, it's like saying, like, do you know who you work for? Of course you know who your employer is. They write your fucking checks for the same reason.
and so much of it is like basic Republican principles, right? Like so much of that the Republicans
What are those?
talk about. Well, you know what I mean, like smaller government, anti all that shit. Like it's the shit they talk about all the time.
It is,
Yeah,
and again,
did you guys see Ben Shapiro in Congress this week? He's like, I don't know anything about the Heritage Project. And I'm like, okay. Like they're all trying to disclaim it, being like, I don't know anything about this, and it's like, you all know each other.
I mean, just
you're all
remember
the
though,
same
it's this
person.
idea that it's one versus the other is an old notion. You got to remember, the fucking Patriot Act was written under Clinton, and he just wouldn't pass it. And so they waited until 9/11 to put it through. Like, that was written under the Clinton administration. It was for Clinton to pass during the fucking Kosovo war. Like,
oh yeah,
this shit is this heritage project. The Democrats are playing by the same fucking rules. I mean, we literally have governors of red states committing human trafficking and bragging about it on the news. At any point in time, the fucking president can send U.S. Marshals down there to go arrest Ron DeSantis and drag him back for crimes.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in time. Any point in time. Greg Abbott, yep, you're committing crimes against humanity. Cool, throw him in a fucking cell. Put him in Guantanamo Bay. Like, he could do that anytime he wants to, but why would he? Because they're all buddies. They all hang out and fucking smoke cigars and jerk off together behind the fucking State House. Like, I mean, Joe Biden admits this. He's like, I love my Republican colleagues. We hang out, eat meatloaf together. And while they're taking away women's rights, I'm killing brown people, and we all laugh about it. Bipartisanship. That's his whole fucking campaign. Is like, we can all get along and commit atrocities together. That's the whole point of voting.
Go ahead, Izzy.
Yeah, I've been trying. I'm so glad you brought this up, Chris. I've been trying to tell people all the time. It's like we deal so much in absolutes in this country and in Western society that it's like red versus blue all the time. That like we just can't like, but we can't. But I just mean like the average liberal, I guess, or the average. Just like they're all the same person. Like they're not gonna pass anything. They hang out with each other. Did you see the debate where Trump and Biden were talking about golf? And he's like, I'll only golf if you carry your own bag or whatever. And he's like, he's got a big handicap. Like they play golf together. They fuck around.
Grandpa's got golf
and they
jokes.
hang out. Yeah. Like they do this. Like it is a class. It's class war. Like this. Like I just don't know what else to say because they are the representative of the bourgeois and of the upper class. Like, and they just want us to be scared and fight amongst each other to pick the better person that we think will save us from themselves, like or save us from them. You know what I mean? But it's like we can't do that until we fucking organize. Like we have to build community. I keep saying we gotta build community, but like we gotta like we're all what we have. As the erasure of the middle class is happening, that's gonna be very. It's already happening, but I mean, like once it's like absolute, like there's gonna be. I don't want to see not civil war, but like there's going to be some conflict. I think that we have to deal with, and I don't want to say like. Well, I will. Sorry, but I will say is like we have to learn nonviolence and resistance is justified. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I will never condone, or I will never condemn nonviolent means, right? Like, my problem is that there's lots of amazing nonviolent things you can do. Like, people talk to me all the time, like, well, I don't want to go out and punch a cop and go to jail. What can I do? It's like, dude, fucking make burritos and sandwiches. Like, learn first aid.
Exactly.
Literally drive people to and from places so their plates don't get doxxed. Fucking provide a safe house if someone's running from the cops. Like, there's a million, spread shit on social media under a VPN. Like, there's a million things you can do that don't require risk or violence, that aren't ableist.
You don't have to do anything illegal.
Yeah, there's a million things you
it's
can
literally
do
just helping your neighbor
as anyone. Yeah, and again, there's I don't know. I find the idea, this ableist idea that you have to be able to go onto the streets to do something is wrong. However, the reverse also needs to be true. We can never condemn violence. Because violence is the system being brought upon us. When the police break up the protest, they're using violence. It is state-sponsored violence. When they take away your home, that is violence. When the Supreme Court says you can be thrown in prison and lose your rights and die because you don't have a place to sleep that night, that is violence. And the only thing that ends violence is violence. Now, there are nonviolent, wonderful things you can do to support your comrades who are committing acts of violence. But the idea in a system that regards property as higher than human rights, property destruction is the only viable form of protest, and violence against the oppressors is the only thing that works. And again, I could be wrong, but I always ask people, name me a single societal, social, or civil revolution that has ever occurred without violence.
The same people that are...
Because I'm here for it. I don't want anyone to die. That'd be great. But I own a lot of guns because eventually all these fucking red hats are going to come from my gay and trans friends.
Yeah, I mean, the same people that are condemning Hamas are the same people that would condemn the Haitians against their fucking slave masters.
And the South Africans. I mean, these are the same people who locked up Nelson Mandela for violently opposing apartheid. These are the people who locked people up during the Civil War for helping. John Brown was fucking executed for going, hey guys, slavery's bad and we should arm them. Like, that's how it will always be. And I think Izzy asks a really good fucking question of what do we do? And I don't have a perfect answer for that. But the fucking fact is we need to get together, and there needs to be a lot more in-person meetings. Because remember,
what
all
about
your electronics, even signal, it's all fucking monitored. Your signal's easier, it's better.
Well,
definitely use it.
And that's what I was trying to tell everybody in the fucking group chat today on Instagram. Everybody is going and going, and finally I was like, I am just going to politely recommend that y'all shut the fuck up. Like really, seriously, stop. Like, please, just stop. And I think, like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think right now it's still good. There's going to come a part, and I think we're already there for basically, but trust hasn't eroded enough yet. But
Yeah.
let's be real. Everything you do, say, write, speak, and see is being monitored by the NSA.
Absolutely.
There is no guiding yourself anymore. So it's like, I do kind of almost respect the fucking outage of like, fuck it. You know,
Yeah.
like, who cares? Because it all's me. But if you're ever going to do anything that is dicey, don't do that shit over the phone. Arrange
No.
a meeting place. Go somewhere.
Do not record yourself destroying
record
property
yourself.
either.
Yes,
I want
do
to make it
not.
clear.
Oh
You're not
my
going to be
God.
famous. You're
Do
not going to earn
not-
respect. You're not going to earn clout amongst us.
Do not film
Don't record
yourself
yourself
doing
punching a cop.
something
Don't do it.
illegal.
The leftists
Get a
I respect
story,
the
don't make it
most
a
understand
video.
OPSEC. Like,
Yeah.
OPSEC is
I
real.
believe you if you tell me. Just don't
Yeah.
show me your
And-
recording, because
and
then I know that you did.
especially if you're gonna film it, do not fucking post it online.
Yeah. Meet in person, turn your fucking cell phones off.
In Minecraft.
Get a proton
In
mail.
Minecraft. Duh.
Do not post
This
on
isn't a gaming
Instagram.
podcast?
Yeah. In your favorite video
yeah.
game.
This is the Watermelon Minecraft server.
No, but I think everything's fine.
Dude, guys, I'm just gonna say,
Okay.
it's only been here for 400 years and it's destroying the planet, but capitalism is the only system that works.
Yeah.
I mean, think of all the jobs being created.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and what you guys are forgetting is how many different types of cereal that we can choose from at Ralph's.
All owned by the same BlackRock company.
much-
Absolutely.
How much different fried cornmeal can we put dairy milk in? Like, that's what matters.
Look, I'm tired of the slander and people calling them like slave owner. These are job creators, guys. They're
Yeah.
here saving the
You-
economy.
Yeah, we're
you have-
innovative.
You have a right to poison yourself and your children.
And my children and everybody else.
Oh my god! Wait, do you guys remember the gas stove thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, this
Yeah.
is my ADHD.
The
kicking
liberals
in.
are
Like,
taking
you remember,
away
like, you're coming for your
stoves.
stoves.
That's actually my favorite
Literally,
thing
people-
conservatives do, though, is when they fucking destroy their own shit to own the libs. Like, I blew up my Harley and ripped up my jeans and I shot my Bud Light. I threw my
Bud
Keurig
Light.
away.
But like, I see them like that. They know what they're doing, because like we can learn from their organizing and shit, because it was like rapid. Like, everyone was already like, let's do this. Like, let's protest to
Mhm.
keep our stove.
But we
And it's like,
can't.
how-
Like, that's actually the problem, is we can't,
Yeah.
because that's why the right wing will always be powerful, right? Like, not only is a callback to nostalgia
Yeah.
powerful, but they galvanize, because the right will work with people they ideologically hate. I mean, you got to remember, half the people propping up Trump despise him. A lot of people
Oh, yeah.
working with
Yeah,
Trump
they hate
think he fucking
He's a
sucks,
conduit.
but they're
Yep.
willing to lie with him to stop the Democrats. They don't fucking care. But the more left you are, the more you're willing to see those differences and say, no, just because you hate Trump
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm going to help you take away abortion, you piece of shit. Like, that's the thing, is the left is willing to have leftist infighting, which is our greatest weakness. And it's also our greatest strength, though. Like,
Mhm.
all of a sudden, some
Mhm.
organization that's coming up, and all of a sudden you find out all the leaders are running a fucking creepy cult and they're sexually assaulting everyone. And guess what? They're fucking gone. They're out of here. On the right, that wouldn't happen. They'd be like, well, hold on, they're effective. Let's keep them
Yeah.
around. Like,
Yeah.
they will always galvanize. And I don't ever want to be like that. I would rather go down on the sinking ship of doing it the
Yeah.
right way.
Yeah. Yeah, to your point, Chris, last year I went to this gun event when I was running for supervisor, and I spoke to, like, 3 or 4 people here in Ventura County who are very right wing, and their whole like shtick was, hey, if we can find one thing that we agree on, let's do it. And I think that that's how they are so, as you said, effective. They find something that they can either pull you in with, or that they can, galvanize a whole group on. And you don't get that on the left, or even like, Democrats. Democrats are the fucking liberals. I mean, they're not really to the left, but they're the worst because they won't tolerate any type of dissent. Like, you have to agree on every single thing
Yeah, blue mag is
with
real, man.
Democrats. every single fucking thing with the Democrats, or they will ice you out. And they don't tolerate infighting at all. And they don't tolerate dissension within their party. I do think that the right wing does. The right wing allows, themselves to rally around one or two things and disagree on other things, as long as they can, effectively organize in that sense. But I agree with you also. I'd rather go down on the other side than side with them.
I mean, just remember that if you ever feel bad about it, like every single time fascism has arisen, it was the liberals that propped it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capitalism will always turn to fascism. Fascism doesn't threaten capital.
It's a symbiotic relationship. Like,
Yeah.
they thrive off each
I
other.
think
And
I think
MLK said it. Liberals just want peace. They just want a negative peace in place of justice.
no, Chris. I think Neville Chamberlain should have just asked nicer.
Yeah. If we had just learned German, it would have been fine. Some people wouldn't have had to die.
Right.
Please.
Have you ever asked people to just not be Jewish? Or gay? I mean, let's be real.
Just ask the question. Yeah.
Just
Like,
stop
why?
being gay. Just stop.
I actually, I
used to be gay. I sucked dick every day, and then
Oh my
Jesus
God.
came, and I went to a special camp, and I realized I could pray the
Yeah!
gay away, and now I have a wife who hates me. So it's perfect. Everyone's happy. Like, if you'll just give in to the Christian right, everything can be fine. You can pray away whatever sins are in vogue this year.
So
Yo, you
on
can just
the-
listen to Crowns and drink wine at brunch, and it's all fine.
Yeah. Guys, brunch is back. Who cares? Oh, people are dying. Just drown people. What does it matter?
So on the live stream that we had, one of the guests recommended this book called How to Stop Fascism, or how to something like that. And I downloaded it to Audible and started listening to it, and it's so fucking infuriating, because like he's talking about how fascism rose, with Hitler, and the parallels to now. And what?
Mussolini, you mean?
No, he's talking about Hitler.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about how the Nazism rose, and how all that shit. And then he's correlating it to shit that's happening now. Like how Bolsonaro came to power down in Brazil, and the rise of Donald Trump. But he's talking about the economic problems. Like, economic problems always fucking precede the rise of fascism. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, how are we not realizing that this is going to happen? That Joe Biden and a lot of Joe Biden's policies are actually factually inflationary, and people are struggling, and the class division is growing. How are we not seeing that? But then I was like, oh, wait a second, the liberals don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They don't fucking care. They don't give a fuck. They want fascism, I believe.
Yeah.
Because then they have something to campaign against.
They want peace and quiet. Like, their voters just want peace and quiet. Their voters want to know that they bought a pussy hat, voted Joe Biden, and everything was fine.
I just know if Trump was president right now and the genocide was going on in Gaza, the white liberals
right?
Screaming at the top of their lungs about the genocide.
You fucking know it, because remember, going to war in Afghanistan and Iraq was so bad when Bush did it. When Obama did it, it was fine. He didn't start it. But Bush invades fucking Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's the worst, right? And fucking all of a sudden, Trump is fucking funding this genocide, and it's number one, first of all, AIPAC's involved. And there is a difference, because Israel does own all our senators. It's actually, if you ever look at the funding, it's a beautiful Aurora Boreas of a snake eating its own dick. It's amazing. Yeah. We send money to Israel. They send some of it back in campaign donations to the people who vote on sending more money to Israel. It's this fucking monetary cycle. It's disgusting. So I'll have to give, in my analogy, there is a difference there. However, I agree with you. If Trump was doing it, we would probably hear the Democrats going, look, Israel has a right to defend
Yeah.
itself, and we need to be sending money and stuff. But the way he does it is wrong, and this is too far. We need to kill them slower, is what you would hear, and they'd be blaming fucking Trump for killing them too quickly.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Izzy.
Oh, sorry. So also, like, I think a big thing of like the rise of fascism, or what you want to call it, is this idea of like this isolation kind of thing in American society, where it's like, oh, that could never happen here, and we look at, because World War II was like what, 80 years ago. And
Yeah.
we look at that like, oh, what happened here? Like, that won't, like, we can't have that, you know.
We
But
also
then
had to have
see, like,
PSAs at the time of "Don't be a Nazi" because a lot of Americans were joining the Nazi Party.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like literally, Frank
and, like,
Sinatra did a PSA where he's like, "Look, kids, Nazis aren't cool."
Wasn't Charles Lindbergh?
yeah, didn't they have a
Mm-hmm. Lindbergh was a Nazi. Ford was a Nazi.
Didn't they have that convention in New York in like
Yeah,
the 30s,
in
and it was, like, a
they
Nazi
had it in
booth?
not Times
Yeah.
Square. It was in Central Park.
The park.
They had fucking
Yeah.
they had a
Like
gigantic Nazi
33,
rally.
I think.
You know, right here in
Yeah, but, like,
where I am in LA, in the suburbs, there's actually, it still stands. There's a park full of concrete swastikas and stuff, and they were building a when the Nazis invaded
Yep.
California, they were building a fallback base for the sympathizers.
Well, you know, the Nazism is what never like left, right? Like Nazism did not fucking leave. It just quieted down a little bit. Like up here in Ventura County, we have a monthly Nazi what is it called? The freeway bannering that they do, where they stand up in Thousand Oaks and they wave their little fucking swastika Nazi flags and
And they
shit.
also have the fucking
What?
the
I
They've got
gotta
the
go.
Reich
I
stuff.
gotta go
they have
investigate
the Trump
that.
train like,
Yeah, they have the Trump train.
every
Yeah.
single weekend in Simi Valley.
Yeah. When I moved to California in 2001, like we moved to Ventura first before moving to Camarillo. And I remember when I was at Ventura College, people used to tell me that there was a Nazi problem in Ventura County, but nobody talked about it. And now 23 years later, I think there's like still a Nazi problem, but everybody talks about it, and people just like like are proud about it. They're proud to be like a part of that fucking group.
California has the largest Klan population in the country.
Yeah.
That's what Orange County was kind of founded on.
Actually, it's worse than Sacramento.
Yeah, me and Izzy
Yeah, it's
are
very bad.
actually like kind of working on a project over a number of months. Exposure to the listeners, but
Oh,
yeah, about the fucking legacy of the KKK in SoCal.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the prohibition in the 1920s, fun fact, was started by the KKK. Like, I don't know how to phrase it, but they were using the arguments of like, prohibition is good because you don't want to be like people that are not white, and white people don't drink because like all racist stereotypes. And
Oh
that
man,
was
I
how
gotta
it
tell my
passed.
dad.
Yeah. I guess on the article, but like that was how it was founded. And don't even get me started on Huntington Beach. I don't claim them as part of my county.
That's funny.
But
Huntington Beach.
literally, LA Times, they did an article, I think 2020, 2021, it was during COVID, and they were like, how did it get this bad? Like in California, and it's like,
Been that way the whole fucking time.
you're LA Times.
Like, where have you been, Heather? What is the most?
And they're like,
what's the most fascist city in Ventura County? Simi Valley for sure.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
It's got to be Simi Valley.
I don't. Okay, so in terms of residents who
Yeah, in terms of
have
like
fe-
the
who have
ideology of
yeah.
the residents,
In
not the
terms of
policies of the
well,
city.
yeah, I have two answers. One is the residents. In terms of residents who have fascistic tendencies, I would say it's Simi Valley. In terms of policy, like who actually is in government, who is the most fascistic? I can't fucking say it.
Fascistic.
Fascistic. It would be Camarillo. And that's you have a growing presence of the police on their city council. You have the population is generally ignored. Like the idea of representative government in Camarillo just it's not even a thing. They don't have that. And there's a clear class divide too, because in their city, like your city manager there makes like $490,000 a year, but the average job in Camarillo makes minimum wage. So you have a real economic issue there also. But I would say Simi Valley in terms of like your population. But hey, come to Oxnard, come to my neighborhood in Oxnard sometime, because it's Trump flags everywhere over here.
Oh, same where I live.
It is fucking Trump everywhere. My neighbor's got a
American
fuck Joe Biden
flags
sticker
all
on
over
his
their
truck.
fucking golf
Yeah.
carts going to the beach.
Yep.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Trump
all
everywhere.
over.
So, I don't know. I don't know if the answer is so simple anymore. And our MAGA candidates that have run for office, Bruce Boyer and Deb, whatever the fuck her name is, they live here in Oxnard.
Yeah.
So, I don't
The
know.
Nard.
The nerd.
Hard, hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. People that say that Oxnard is Democrat because the voter registration is Democratic
Nope.
are just wrong. The voter registration rolls haven't been updated since like early 2000s. Most of the people on there don't even live here anymore, or are dead. So, yeah. But I would say Simi Valley and Camarillo.
That's all good. I'm gonna end the podcast right here. Any
Right
last words from everybody?
The fascists are here. They're on both sides. Project 2025 is just fucking nothing. It's the inevitable future that both parties are pushing. Don't get caught up in it. Don't ever be forced to vote blue no matter who. Vote with your fucking conscience. Pretend for 10 seconds it's a democracy and you're actually allowed to vote for someone who fits your ideals. Go find someone. There's a million. Gloria La Riva, if you want to vote for a socialist. Fucking Dr. What's his name, if you want to vote for a kind of capitalist, but, believes in civil rights. Like, just pick someone, right? Mickey fucking Mouse. Doesn't matter. It's one of the last few freedoms we actually have. Enjoy it before it's gone. The middle class is going to continue to erode. It was never part of the equation. It was a fluke. We are coming back and sliding into a fascistic government of neo-serfdom. It is our future, and simply fight it with everything you've got and develop, make friends, hang out with leftists, and devise systems of mutual aid, and you're going to be fine. Don't fucking vote blue. Biden ain't going to save you. He's actually worse.
Follow the alt left. Thanks so much, Chris. Have a good night. Izzy, the floor is yours.
So I've been saying earlier, like, we have to start organizing and building community. Hit me up on Instagram. I am AnarchOrange, which is anarchy without the Y and then orange. I will teach you how to organize your workplace if you want. If I think this is the best time to do it while the NLRB is still valid. Yeah, hit me up if you want any advice for organizing. Yeah, we're all we have, and camps are gonna be built, cages are gonna get back up. It's just gonna get worse, but we all have each other, and if you need help figuring that out, let me know. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks, Izzy. Heather, any last words?
Nope.
All right. Thanks, listeners. Everyone have a good night. Bye.